Well, I enjoy singing, but I don't make records for myself to listen to. So I do find it hard. It's the producer's job is to listen to the vocals so I can go and play pinball or whatever. But I get used to it eventually. It's not a big problem. I haven't had to see an analyst about it. Well, when I went to London, I wasn't in the music scene. I was selling handbags on Tottenham Court Road. And then making picture frames. Working in I've modeled in an art college. Drew T-shirts. I mean, I did a lot of things before I eventually got in the band. So, I mean, when I went over, I did buy a copy of the Melody Maker and start looking through the back pages for ads for vocalists wanted. And I think I made a few phone calls, but it was still something I was keeping pretty quiet.
On the Pretenders, what were you after? Was it sort of a specific sound that you wanted, or did you know at the time what you wanted?
Well, it was very influenced by the people I was working with. I'd written these songs, but you know, it was meeting James Honeyman Scott that really brought the melody out in me, because I was pretty punked out at the time, and I didn't have, you know, I had denied my melodic tendencies. I did have a vision, but you can hear what the vision was. I can't describe it any better.
But this band has been going through quite a lot of stages. I mean, do you feel that the vision is still there, that it's still the same?
Well, I'm carrying on in a tradition that the original band sort of invented this sound, which to my mind wasn't terribly original, but it was fresh enough, and you know, I got off on it. But it was something that was distinctive enough that I can certainly carry on, you know, in this tradition.
You still want to be a band. I mean, after all the people are gone, all the changes that's been in the band, you still call it the Pretenders. And is that, do you like the concept of a band? Do you want
yeah, I only like the concept of a band. I'm just not interested in anything else. You know, I like playing, if I'm playing the guitar, God help me, then it's nice to have I like to have a guitar player next to me and a bass player and a drummer. I have no interest in doing it in any other way. I wouldn't know how to do it any other way. And it still gives me a thrill if someone says, oh, aren't you the singer in the Pretenders?
Really?
Yeah, but it doesn't do anything for me if someone says, are you Chrissie Hynde?
So you managed to keep those two identities separate somehow?
Well, I like being in a band. I'm not terribly keen on myself, just on my own. And I really don't think an audience would be either.
What do you think it makes a band work? I mean, what's the magic of a band? What keeps it together?
Well, I can't say what keeps my band together, because my band, you know, hasn't stayed together. But the magic of a band is having the different personalities. 2 guitars, bass, drums, some keyboards, and everyone has a different musical approach, and that, to me, is what's exciting in music. I think a lot is lost when someone stays in the studio and plays all the instruments themselves. I mean, a lot of people like that, and I think it can be good, but it's not the thing that excites me. You know, I grew up on the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, and I love that. That's what I love. I love bands. That's really what turns me on.
What about your first guitar?
Which was some Japanese guitar. I can't remember. I remember very well what it looked like.
How old do you think you were?
About 14.
How did you learn to play it? Did you work it out yourself?
Well, I got a book that had, you know, pictures of chords, dots on strings. And then I recall taking a few guitar lessons from someone, maybe about 5. And he showed me how to play a few blues progressions. But mainly, being a girl, I was really shy of playing with the other guys at school, so I just tried to make it up on my own.
Did you ever try
not terribly successfully, but then when I realized that I could once I made a few chords, I got more interest in melodies and words, and then I started writing songs because I was on my own. Sometimes, sometimes not. I'm not terribly ambitious, and I only write when I'm on my own, unfortunately, which is a habit I'd like to change, because I'm not really on my own so much anymore now that I've got kids and a more active domestic life than I used to. But
do you write a lot? I mean, you release albums so rarely. Do you have a big production of songs?
Not really. I mean, if I had to whip up another 10 songs to do an album in the next 6 months, I could do it. I'm sure I've got them unfinished songs, and I could sit down and write some if the pressure was on. I always said I can't write under pressure, I have to be free, but you know, really I was bullshitting myself, because it's until, you know, the whip is being cracked that I'll motivate. I'm not very motivated. Unfortunately, I'm not proud of it. But I do have other activities in my life. Being a mother and everything. I can't just totally dedicate myself to my work all the time. And I think that would become a little bit boring, possibly.
How do you combine that, being a mother and going on the road and working as much as you do?
Well, I bring them with me. I mean, they're not here today, but I'm only going to be away for a couple of days.
Do they enjoy that?
Well, if they stop enjoying it, then I'll modify my behavior. You know, because their happiness is more important to me than mine, obviously, as their mother. I had a wife who would stay at home and look at the kids after the kids. You know, it's a big pain in the ass to have the kids there. And, I mean, I get up at 7:30 with them, and if I'm in the studio, I have to go back home and have supper, put them to bed. It breaks the continuity. It's not really rock hours, you know, getting up at 7:30. But if I do it, it's rock and roll. That's how I have to look at it.
Yeah.
It was a blow to me, actually, to get pregnant and, you know, lose my masculine physique for a year. But I battled through it.
On TAC, there's a cover of a Jimi Hendrix song. Is that something that you've wanted to do for a long time, or?
It was one of the songs I've wanted to do. I probably could easily put together an album of cover songs. 2 albums, you know, but it was a song that I held close to my heart since the first Jimi Hendrix album.
Did you used to be a fan of his?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, of course. Who wasn't?
Did it influence your way of playing guitar when you learned to play the guitar?
Unfortunately, I can't say that he influenced my guitar playing. I think my guitar playing isn't really up to that. But he's influenced my lifestyle.
In what way?
Well, I think Jimi Hendrix, by copying what we imagined he was doing, it did sort of lift us out of the sort of mundane lifestyle that we had grown accustomed to in America. It was a period of cosmic consciousness and mind expansion.
Were you into that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
We took lots of LSD. So.
Did you learn anything from that attitude, that sort of whole area that he was in?
I don't know. I learned something when I was growing up, you know. I've learned a lot in the last 20 years. I thought I knew a lot when I was 20, but it's taken me another 20 years to get some realization and experience. It was a different time. It would be very hard to compare a time 20 years later in pop music, because pop music so much reflects the flavor of the moment. Like a bit of a target, like anyone in my position, especially with my big mouth, you know. But I'm dead keen on anything that can aid the ecological cause. Then I'll always lend myself and be there, be it, you know, the links or anything concerning the vegetarian crusade. Anything that aids the environmental crises that we're in, because to me that's all it's all part of the same issue. They're not really isolated, but you can lend your weight to where, you know, you see there's a neglected area.
Does it get you into trouble, your big mouth?
It can do. It creates too much fuss and attention, and that, you know, that threatens my private life a little bit, if you can call it a private life. But, you know, my home life.
Does it get you out of trouble? Do you talk your way out of trouble?
Well, I can always just go in the studio and make a record and keep my yap shut in any other capacity, you know, if it gets bad. But that's unlikely to last for too long.
You said once that when you came closer to 40, you'd quit. You wouldn't want to be a rock star at 40.
Well, everyone says that when they're 20, don't they? That's part of the rock and roll tradition.
Well, what do you think about it now?
I think about it often. But as long as I still like making records and and getting on stage, then I'm quite happy to do so. I don't have a problem about my age. I'm 38 now, but I've never been bothered about my age. I've never lied about my age. Oh, I mean, I'm vain enough sometimes to add a few years and say I'm 40 or 41, you know, and then I think maybe I look better for my age. But in actual fact, I'm only 38.
That rock and roll is not so much about youth anymore. That it's like the huge generation that grew up with rock and roll that will always stay.
It certainly isn't about youth anymore. It's become contemporary music. But I think a lot of valuable music should come from the youth culture. I'm not entirely sure that it is, because the you know, what is lucrative about getting in a rock band now is that you can make a lot of money and make videos and maybe become a film star or something. So the purity of just being in a rock and roll band because you don't want to have a career is gets a bit lost in the shuffle there, I think. And it has become such a big business. I mean, it wasn't like that in my day. What appealed, what was the appeal for me? I don't really even know if it exists anymore as such. I mean, perhaps it does. I really just wanted to play guitar and sing in a rock and roll band. That's all I wanted. That's all I've ever wanted. And I'm sure that still exists for a lot of people, that's what they'd love to do. I mean, what thrills me is when I walk into a gig and I look on the stage and I see the amps and I see the little red lights come on. That's what it's all about for me. If I'm so far away that I have to watch the performer on a big screen, you know, it's not, to me, that's not, well, I don't put myself in those situations, and I hope I don't put my audience in that kind of a situation.
Do you think you'll ever tire of that? Seeing the red lights go on and I
don't think I'll ever tire of seeing the little red lights go on, no.